Welcome back, everyone. It's Megan here with a few more tips for technical communication as you get started on Chapter 3 of your report. Today, we're going to look at the research review section, so talk a little bit about key research and stakeholders to tell your story. Then we're going to discuss considering your alternatives, the different paths that you consider for your design choices. And then we will talk about visual displays, so using figures and tables to strengthen your story. Tip number 1 is about the research review section of Chapter 3. Citing sources connects your reader to a broader range of sources and information, and it ultimately builds your credibility as a communicator. So we've already been talking about that, just re-emphasizing it here because it's especially important in this section. So what is the purpose of a research review? It helps you build background and context. Remember that you're telling a story throughout your report, and the research review can help explain how you decide on your path by reviewing what others have already done. It helps explain how your work fits into current and relevant research. Do you need to give info and cite every source out there that has done work on your topic? No. You'll want to pick important and relevant sources. The research review also shows how well you understand your topic and identifies and therefore alerts your audience to any gaps in previous research that you found, which is again relevant to what you're doing in your project. Let's look at some student examples of the research review. Looking at these two groups examples, which one do you think does a slightly better job introducing this section of the report? What do they do differently? If you said Group A, you are correct. Notice how under the Chapter 3 heading, they give a little synopsis of what this section is about. This cues to your reader what you're going to cover in this section. Remember the BLUF acronym from a previous video? BLUF, bottom line up front. It's a similar idea here, only you're giving the bottom line for the whole section to come. Looking at these same two groups, let's shift our focus to the research review. This is only a portion of Group A's research review. In total, they have 5 sections that they've divided up by categories. The top portion is a continuation of turbidity sensors from the previous slide, and then you can see the filters section there. Then looking at Group B, they have just 2 paragraphs for their research review. Which one is stronger and why? I'm really not trying to pick on Group B here. They both did a great job on their projects. One of the reasons why Group A's research review is stronger is because they have shown that they have done their research on important work related to their project. And we can see that by all the sources that they have cited throughout. While it's difficult to put a number on how many sources you should cite, notice how they have about 3 in each paragraph, and it does not look like too many. Now, both Group A and B also include relevant observations and information they gleaned from facility tours, which is also appropriate for this section. And although you probably won't include citations with that type of information, that firsthand information from frontline workers is equally important and adds value to your project. In tip number 2, we'll discuss the importance of listing alternative paths considered. Alternate paths. Discussing the numerous design options you've considered is important for a number of reasons. Again, it shows that you've done your research, and it explains the various paths you've considered from all angles. And because you've done your research, your team has chosen this path because based on the research you've done, you believe this is the best option for being successful. Therefore, it again helps build your credibility as a researcher. Let's look at an exemplar student example. This team's summary of design options considered is about a page and a half long and is then followed by their process flowchart. A couple of things I wanted to point out here is how they are still citing sources in this section. By doing this, they are pulling in the expertise of others to show that they have carefully considered their options and have used previous research to help guide their choices. Next, I wanted to highlight some of the language they use in this section. The third paragraph starts with a pivotal choice, signaling to their reader the importance of what they're about to explain. And then ending that paragraph with weighing the resources allocated to this project gives the reader a reason as to why they made the choice that they did. In the fourth paragraph, they are then laying the foundation for why they chose the 3 liquid phase reactors to evaluate. Overall, one of the main strengths of this team is how they thoroughly explain the alternatives considered, creating buy-in from their audience. This is the same team's process flowchart that they included in their report. It shows a couple of different paths considered and highlights the path taken there in red. And this segues nicely into our next tip on visual displays. Tip number 3, visual displays. Each table, figure, and equation should be introduced in the text before it appears. An introduction consists of the visual number and description of the contents. First, let's discuss a few general tips. Visual displays help tell your story, so you want to choose the type of visual that portrays your data the best. Then, only include visuals when they add value. You're not just adding a visual for the heck of it. Next, make sure that you're not just sticking your visual in there without fully explaining it. Explanation needs to accompany the visual. Lastly, check for clarity and readability. Is your font legible and clear? Is it big enough? Are you using abbreviations or terminology consistently? These will help ensure that your visuals are effective. So let's look at figures first. For figures, be sure to introduce and cite the figure in the text above it, and then include the figure number and caption below. Notice how this group also nicely explains the figure in the text above. For tables, you'll also cite it in the text above, but then include the title above the table versus below like in figures. Please note that tables and figures are numbered separately and they are not a continuation of one another. That's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching, and I hope you found these tips helpful, and happy technical communicating.